morning and a warm welcome to this, our last live stream service of the year. It's crazy to think that at the beginning of this year, we had never live streamed a service before, and here we are. So we want to say a huge thank you to not only joining us for this morning, but for joining us every morning throughout this year. This morning is going to be a little bit different. You're going to hear from a number of different people who are going to talk about and give thanks for this year. Now let me repeat that. Give thanks for this year. Despite everything that's gone on and everything that's happened, we do have reasons to be grateful and to give thanks this morning. And then we're going to finish with communion as we've done pretty much every Sunday since lockdown began. Just before I hand over to Sarah and the band, we just do want to let you know that there's no service next Sunday. We're giving the team a well-deserved Sunday off. So you might want to think about how you can gather next Sunday, maybe with your family in your homes, and do something a little bit different. But do something would be our encouragement. And then we'll be starting back on the 10th of January, when we're able to, we'll be live streaming again from the building. We won't be having in-person services immediately as we still try to work through some of the changes, the constantly changing regulations that are going on at this time. So we won't be having in-person services. You won't be able to book in, but we will be streaming again from the 10th of January onwards. So I'm just going to pray now, and then we're going to hand over to Sarah and the band. So Heavenly Father, we do thank you for all that you have done this year. And as the year draws to an end, would you help us to keep our eyes fixed on you? Would you be with us now as we lift up your name, as we worship you in our homes and give thanks for who you are and what you've done? Sarah.
Good morning. I encourage you, wherever you are in your living rooms or wherever you're sitting watching this, to stand, to sing and to join with us this morning. Thanks, John. Search the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together. Now every desire is now satisfied. Oh, here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, oh, better than you, Lord. There's nothing is better than you. Oh, I'm not afraid. Show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley. There's not a place where your mercy and grace won't find me again. Better than you, Lord, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing, oh, better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord, there's nothing, oh, there's nothing that's better than you. Turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing, oh, better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Nothing, oh, better than you. Oh, nothing is better than you, Lord. There's nothing, oh, nothing is better than you. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. There's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, no, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing, no, better than you. Oh, there's nothing that's better than you, Lord. There's nothing, no, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing, no, better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, no, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing that's better than you. Oh, there's nothing, no, better than you, Lord. There's nothing, no, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing, no, better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing that's better than you. Through every battle, and through every heartbreak, and through every circumstance, I believe that you are my fortress. You are my portion, and you are my hiding place. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. And through every blessing, and through every promise, and through every breath I take, I believe that you are provider, and you are protector. You are the one I love. Oh, I believe you are the way, Oh, come, all you unfaithful, come, weak and unstable, come, no, you are not alone. Oh, come, barren and waiting ones, weary of praying, come, see what your God has done. Christ is born. Christ is born. Christ is born for you. Oh, come, bitter and broken, come, with fears unspoken, come, taste of his perfect love. Oh, come, guilty and hiding ones, there is no need to run. See what your God has done. Christ is born. Christ is born. Christ is born for you. He's the Lamb who is given, slain for our pardon. His promise is peace for those who believe. He's the Lamb who is given, slain for our pardon. His promise is peace for those who believe. Oh, come, though you have nothing, come, he is the offering, come, see what your God has done. So come, though you have nothing, come, he is the offering, come, see what your God has done. Christ is born. Christ is born. Christ is born for you. Christ is born. Christ is born So come, though you have nothing, just come, 'cause he is the offering. Come, see what your God has done. Beneath the surface of my anxious imagination beckons a calmness that is found in you alone. It washes over every doubt, every imperfection. Jesus, your presence is the comfort of my soul. There's nowhere I'd rather be when you're singing over me. I just wanna be with you. I'm lost in your mystery. I'm found in your love for me. Oh, I just wanna be with you. So here in the waiting, I won't worry about tomorrow. No need to focus on the things I can't control. All my attention on the wonder of this moment. Jesus, your presence is the comfort of my soul. There's nowhere I'd rather be when you're singing over me. Oh, I just wanna be with you. I'm lost in your mystery. I'm found in your love for me. Oh, I just wanna be with you. So let all that I am be consumed with who you are. The glory of your presence, what more could I ask for? So let all that I am be consumed with who you are. The glory of your presence, what more could I ask for? Cause there's nowhere I'd rather be when you're singing over me. Oh, I just wanna be with you. I'm lost in your mystery. I'm found in your love for me. Oh, I just wanna be with you. There's nowhere I'd rather be when you're singing over me. I just wanna be with you. I'm lost in your mystery. I'm found in your love for me. Oh, I just want to be with you.
Often in church, we tend to shy away from anything traditional. We don't want to get into those routines and stuck in the habit. But, I believe that personally, not all traditions are bad. And there's one that's kind of developed in Kings over the last couple of years, and that is to spend the last Sunday of the year hearing testimonies about God's faithfulness from the year that's just passed. And it's a great time, I think, to do it because, in this time in between Christmas and New Year, there's not much happening, especially this year. And while we have that extra time and space, how about we use it to reflect on some of the things that God has done for us? And in a moment, we're going to hear from a number of different people from within Kings who've recorded a testimony about how God has been faithful to them during 2020. Because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but this hasn't been a particularly typical year that we've been living through. But as we talked about in our Christmas service last week, God is with us. And at our vision night, Sarah and I shared a particular Psalm 77, that's really been speaking to us. And I want to just read it again this morning before we hear some of those testimonies, because I really feel it sums up so much of as what we've been feeling and seeing as a church. And in my Bible, there's a wee paragraph that introduces Psalm 77, and it says this: "We are comforted through the hard times by remembering God's help in the past. Recalling God's miracles and the previous works can give us courage to continue." The psalmist goes on to say, "I cry out to God, yes, I shout. Oh, that God would listen to me when I was in deep trouble. I searched for the Lord. All night long I prayed with hands lifted towards heaven, but my soul was not comforted. I think of God and I moan, overwhelmed with longing for his help. You don't let me sleep. I am too distressed even to pray. I think of the good old days, long since ended, when my nights were filled with joyful songs. I search my soul and ponder the difference now. Has the Lord rejected me forever? Will he never be kind to me again? Is his unfailing love gone forever? Have his promises permanently failed? Has God forgotten to be gracious? Has he slammed the door on his compassion?" And I said, "This is my fate. The Most High has turned his hand against me." We'll just stop there for a second. Does that resonate with you this morning? Does that sound familiar to prayers that you've prayed during 2020? How many of us have cried out to God this year, just like that psalmist, asking God these types of questions? But God. But then I recall all you have done, O Lord. I remember your wonderful deeds of long ago. They're constantly in my thoughts. I cannot stop thinking about your mighty works. O God, your ways are holy. Is there any God as mighty as you? You are the God of great wonders. You demonstrate your awesome power among the nations. By your strong arm, you redeemed your people, the descendants of Jacob and Joseph. And this is our favorite bit. When the Red Sea saw you, O God, its waters looked and trembled. The sea quaked to its very depths. The clouds poured down rain. The thunder rumbled in the sky. Your arrows of lightning flashed. Your thunder roared from the whirlwind. The lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and shook. Your road led through the sea. Your pathway through the mighty waters, a pathway no one knew was there. You led your people along that road like a flock of sheep, with Moses and Aaron as their shepherds. And what the psalmist is doing there is he's saying, you know what? At times, life is rubbish, but God. And he's highlighting the importance of recalling what it is that God has done, because that's what gives us the courage to continue. Your road led through a sea, a pathway that no one knew was there. And I want us to think about that for a moment. In the middle of the Israelites fleeing from Egypt, they had the Egyptian soldiers behind them. The Red Sea was before them. It was a desperate situation that they probably could see no way out of. But God created a way that nobody knew was there. And if we're being really honest this morning, there has been times when we have been pulling our hair out. Literally, at times, pulling my hair out. As our plans have changed time and time again, even in the last week, plans that we thought were pretty set in stone have been thrown up in the air once again. There have been times when I've gone, God, where are you in all this? And I recently asked Ian McKenzie a question. I said, Ian, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing the Highlands in a post-COVID world? And if you don't know, Ian works alongside a number of third sector charities and organisations, so he's well positioned to answer that question. And without any hesitation at all, he came straight back to me and he said, youth unemployment and mental health and isolation. And there's some stuff around poverty as well. But actually, if you actually were to look at the World Health Organization's website, they would say that some of the key factors in addressing mental health, isolation, and poverty is employment. So these things are actually linked together. But I began to think about what it is that we actually do here beyond the Sunday. You know, we already take young people into our coffee shops on work placements and training. We already run a work club here. And some of you know that for me personally, a number of years ago, I was asked to chair something that's called the Inverness and Central Highland Developing the Young Workforce Group, which is quite the mouthful and quite hard to fit on a business card. But that's thrown me into the centre of some of the stuff around youth unemployment, to the point where just last week I was on a call with Sandy Begbie, who's been asked by the Scottish Government to head up the new Scottish Youth Guarantee, and Jamie Hepburn, the Minister for Business. And I feel I'm on a mission right now. I've been watching The West Wing again for about the fourth time. It's not a good idea for me because all my political ambitions of being Prime Minister come to the fore when I watch it. But I am lobbying at the moment in both Westminster and Holyrood, because currently if you're under 22, you're entitled to half the redundancy payments as someone who's over 22. And if we're serious about youth unemployment in this country, we have to get the target of young people's back, which is that you cost half the amount of money to get rid of in a redundant situation. You're the cheap one, so we can get rid of you first. You know, sometimes as a church, we have to use our position to speak out against injustice. I don't want to go down the road of the seven mountains, but that's what this is all about. How can we use our positions and influence to make a difference as we go forward? In terms of loneliness and isolation, men's fitness, the choir, the art club, the life groups, these things that we're already doing, and we are desperately trying to get these things back up and running where we can meet face to face, but our hands are tied at the moment, and it is the most frustrating thing in the world. But one thing that we have been able to do this year, a new thing, Starfishes, a toddler group for kids that have additional support needs. Some of the parents who've come along have described it as a lifeline, but something we have been able to do. And another thing that we're working on as a plan at the moment is I feel God's laid on my heart for this next year, the Men of Kings. And we've got a plan that's almost ready to go, but we're going to be starting up in the new year a one-to-one friendship mentoring group for the Men of Kings. Because men, God has placed you on my heart right now, and I feel we need to do something to help connect guys in this next season. Poverty. I know you'll know that we have been doing CAP stuff here for quite a number of years. But again, something new that you might not have heard about is that Sarah and Elaine have just finished doing CAP in Smithton Primary for the first time. So we're going from secondary schools, now the doors are opening into primary schools. There's lots more I could talk about and share, and some of the ideas we're kicking around at the moment. And you think, well, what is the point of you saying all this morning? Because at the times when we've been crying out, God, where are you? He has been pre-positioning us as a church ahead of time. I believe that he's been showing us a path that we might not have known was even there, and how we can take steps to massively impact our community in a post-COVID world in a really positive way. And at the moment, all the language we're hearing is around dialing down activity. But as a church, I really believe that we have to be thinking about how we can dial up activity. This is not a time for retreat. This is a time for moving forward as we go into 2021. And as a leadership, we're already thinking about how we're going to do that, how we're going to do our budgets differently for next year, which will allow us to do things that we have maybe never done before. I believe that God has given us this vision for this next season. And I want to just declare this over us as a church this morning, that as we go into 2021, that we are choosing vision over fear. We are choosing vision over uncertainty. And when there's vision, God has always turned up with the provision, because God is with us and God is always at work. And we're going to hear now some video testimonies about how God has been at work in some other people's lives this year. We'll roll that video.
For me, one thing that I'm super grateful for in 2020 is the fact that I graduated from university. So I passed my degree at the University of Aberdeen this year, and I graduated. And whilst that wasn't in the way that I expected when I started my degree 4 years ago, I'm really grateful that I have come away with the most incredible friends and a supportive university family who encourage me and support me in what I'm doing, and that I've been able to be there for my friends who I've met at university. And I'm so blessed that all of them are still in my life, and that even throughout lockdown and throughout finishing uni in a very strange way, that I've been able to keep my friendships going with them and to stay connected with them, and to be regularly catching up with them, even if that is over Zoom. I'm so grateful for them, and I'm so grateful for the experiences that I had at uni this year and over the last 4 years, and for the friendships that I've built up through that. And I'm really grateful that even though graduation didn't happen in the way that I had expected, that I got to celebrate the fact that I had passed my degree, and I'm so grateful that I was able to do that. And I think for me, going into 2021, I'm really expectant as what God's going to do. I feel like as individuals, as a society and as the church, we have really invested into those around us during lockdown and during this year. We've really gone above and beyond to bless those around us and to pray for them and to encourage them, and not least with the King's Advent calendar that we're doing this year, which is going to bless those around us and is going to encourage us to pray for those around us in our society and in our country. And that's an amazing opportunity, and I'm really expectant to see the fruit that's going to come from that and the harvest that's going to come from that. The opportunity for us to be able to hopefully gather a bit more in church and to gather people in our homes again, and for the fruit and the conversations that might come from that. I'm expecting for what God's going to do as he's moved in this season, for what he's going to do in the next season.
My highlight this year has been realising when the busyness of life had been taken away and our life as we knew it stopped, I learnt to take a step back and notice the beauty in each day that's so easily forgotten. When we were all in lockdown for months, it almost forced us to remember all the good in a day, despite the world falling apart around us. The busyness of life makes us forget these things like a sunrise or a sunset, or the beauty in every single day, even just simply waking up and being thankful for having another day. Something I'm looking forward to for 2021 is a sense of all things new opportunities in a new fresh year, a time for new starts, happiness, new friendships and rebuilding things that fell apart in 2020. This year's been filled with a lot of sadness and disappointment, but it's definitely taught us how to hope, and it's taught me a new meaning of what hope actually means. I truly believe in the song lyrics that say, "Do what only you can do and make all things new." Say yay! Yay!
So 2020 has been an emotional roller coaster, not just for me, but for so many people. As a family, if I was to choose specific words to describe the kind of year we've had, draining, emotional, frustrating, confusing, so many words we could use. But we have also chosen as a family to use the words such as grateful, grateful for good health, grateful for provision, grateful for prospects of for job prospects, grateful for the fact that as a family we got to spend some really, really good quality time together. So for that we're very, very grateful. I'm grateful for the times I spent with my neighbors, within my community, doing things within my community, learning more about my community. It's just been very, very invaluable. For 2021, I pray and hope that the same spirit that we've had, the Ubuntu spirit, the spirit of oneness, the spirit of togetherness will continue, and people will look out for each other, people will check on each other, people will love each other, people will continue to be kind, people will continue to be generous, people will continue to be brothers and sisters keepers. That's my hope for 2021. And I pray that God will move in ways that will shock nations, and there will be so much overwhelming peace that 2020 will just be something from the past. Yeah. So I pray and hope that the what is ahead of us will not be as hard as what was been behind us, and that as a family, whether we're close by or far away from each other, we will be able to stand together in prayer and support each other and encourage each other and be there and uplift each other. I'm very grateful for my church family. Some of these journeys I've taken, I wouldn't have been able to do that without my church family. There's no question about it. The prayers, the encouragement, just, being able to log on every Sunday and listen to the preaching, the worship, the live groups. Absolutely very, very, very grateful that I had that, and I've still got that. So I'm grateful for that. Have a fantastic end to 2020, and let's welcome 2021 with open arms and more blessings and miracles our way.
Well, 2020 has been quite a year, quite an unusual year. But one thing that's not been unusual about 2020 is the faithfulness of our loving Father. As David said in Psalm 15, "But I will trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation." This time last year, we were in the midst of moving house. We'd had the estate agents around, we'd had the house valued, we'd viewed some properties, basically all because part of our mortgage had reached maturity and we owed the bank a 5-figure sum, which we simply didn't have, and we felt therefore the time had come for us to downsize and move. As we moved into January, we were facing bills of several £1,000s without the means to pay them off, and I was working on the assumption that we would take out a loan to cover those costs. However, in the midst of this, I was contacted by a friend of mine who supports a work out in Uganda, an educational project, and they were facing famine and flood problems, and he was asking for help. Despite the fact that we had these problems, I really felt that it was right that we should give them some money. So on the 15th of January, I gave them £150. On the 16th of January, the next day, was scheduled my crunch phone call with the bank, which was the one in which they would say, well, yes, we agree, you've got to move, put your house on the market, and we'll give you time to pay this money back. As I sat down to upload all the information for the bank, I opened the post. And in that post there was a letter from an insurance company regarding a policy that I'd taken out many years ago, covering the cost of our mortgages, to do with illness and result when endowment policies were scrapped and everything shifted to whole of life policies. Anyway, in that letter, the insurance company, completely unexpected to me, said, we've approved this and here is some money for you. And it was a very large sum of money, sufficient to cover the cost that we owed to the bank, and also facilitated us staying where we are, which has meant that our son and his family have been able to move up to Scotland to live with us as a transition towards getting their own place up here. The Lord has blessed them greatly too in that move. For example, one thing, they sold their house within 2 hours of putting it on the market. An amazing thing, and other things have happened like that. So all the way through, we've seen God's hand at work in this, and we've been able to say that we trust in your unfailing love. So what about next year? As we go into 2021, I would always say, as I've always said many times before, expect the unexpected, because when you're walking with God, you never know what's going to happen next, because God has great plans for us. And I just want to finish off with this verse from Romans 15 for next year. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. There's a whole sermon in there, but what a great message to go forward into next year. Have a great Christmas, have a great New Year. See you in 2021.
So here I am thinking about things that I'm thankful for this year, and it's a long list. Longer than my Santa list, I expect. But I'm thankful this year for, as every year, for family and friends. I think during this time we've been brought even closer because we're intentionally connecting with one another, as well as just going with the to and fro of the days. I'm thankful for my life group, as we've met on a Thursday afternoon with these beautiful ladies. They've been a great source of love and encouragement and acceptance to me, and I love them dearly. I'm thankful for the beach, for the sky, for the sea, for everything that I've been observing as we've been going out for our walks during this retired and lockdown season. And it is a season, it is going to pass. But the beauty of God's creation is going to be something that I'm going to be more aware of every year in the future, and not just this year. I'm thankful for books that have taught me more about faith and more about life. That's always been a puzzle to me, life. I've never really understood the world, and I feel I've got maybe just a little bit more of a grasp on that, just a smidgen really, actually. But I'm thankful anyway. I'm thankful for the technology that we've been able to use to keep us together when we've not been able to meet. I've never been a fan of technology, but I've even joined Facebook so that I can join church on a Sunday morning and be with everyone. That's been a real blessing, and thank you to everyone who's made that possible. I'm thankful too that during lockdown, and it's difficult to describe this in words, but I feel as if I've been set free. Being locked down has definitely set me free to be more of the person that God wants me to be. I've lost a lot of rubbish that's just fallen away during this time, and I'm thankful beyond words for that. And I'm thankful that my hope is anchored beyond the veil. I'm thankful that that's unshakable, and that no matter what happens in this world, whatever difficulties I've had, whatever difficulties any of us have, our hope is secure. It's in a safe place. It's being looked after in the Holy of Holies, in that veil. Our hope is safe and secure in Jesus, and for that I'm thankful. So have a good day.
2020 has been a wonderful year. Yes, I say wonderful year. It's brought us as a family, as a Ladity family, much closer to each other and closer to God. In this year, I've seen my children giving tithes because they are earning money. That to me was really touching. And looking forward to 2021, I pray for more of God's presence in my life, more of God's presence in the life of all my family. And I know that is going to be the case. So smile everyone, because 2021 is going to be a great year. Thank you.
We're going to take communion at this time, and communion is another opportunity to stop and reflect what it is that God's done for us, this time at the cross, when he paid the price and took the blame for everything that we've ever done wrong, and by doing that opened up the way for us to have a personal relationship with God the Father. But I want us to think about, just for a moment, the point when Jesus was hanging on the cross. And at that moment, the world was plunged into darkness. In fact, Matthew 27, 45 and 46 says this: "At noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. At about 3 o'clock, Jesus called out with a loud voice, my God, why have you abandoned me?" But it was in the middle of that darkness, in the middle of that moment when the whole earth was plunged into darkness, God was still at work. God's always at work in the darkness, this time overcoming the darkness forever. And as we take our bread and our juice, or our bread and wine, let's give thanks for the hope that Jesus has given us. No matter how dark things may seem over the next few days, weeks, months, or even years, Jesus has overcome the darkness forever. So let's do that now. Let's just take a moment as we take our bread and our wine or juice and remember what it is that God did for us. I want to thank you again for joining us, as I said at the beginning, not just this morning, but your faithfulness throughout this entire year. It's such an encouragement for the team here in the building to see people logging on every week and the comments coming through, and it makes us feel connected even though we can't be physically together. Please remember that next Sunday we won't be having a live service, and I do encourage you to think about how you might want to spend that time as a family, maybe going for a walk, thinking about how God reveals himself through creation perhaps, but think about using that time next Sunday when we're not going to be meeting. And then we'll be back online on the 10th of January. Remember, we won't be having in-person services for the next few weeks, just as we work out everything that we need to work out and see how the restrictions are lifted or tightened or whatever happens. But keep an eye on the Facebook page, the website, and the Staying Connected email. I'm going to hand back over to Sarah now, who's going to lead us out.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace. Sing that again. Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Singing Amen, 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 His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He is with you. He is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, in your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you. 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 Oh, He is for you. 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 May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May His presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He is with you. He is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, in your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you. He is for you. He is for you. Oh, 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 He is for you. Never forget He is for you, not against you. He is for 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 you. Lord bless you and keep you, and make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you.